Silver price is on the rise, and this might be just the start of a new breakout. One of the big banks is raising their silver price forecast for the year. We'll talk about this. And if a rate cut is just around the corner, what will that mean for precious metals? Let's get into it.
Traditionally, you got your dealer, your custodian, your depository.
The reason why ours is so good, first of all, we're two of those three parties, right? We have the depository, we're the retailer. The only thing we're not is the custodian. We don't get any negative experience from the customer because of how fast things are going. Who you pick is incredibly important. SD Bullion, we're different.
Thank you so much for watching. I do sincerely appreciate it. Here we are looking at silver price sitting at $38.66. It's up 62 cents on the day, about 1.5%. Gold is up as well. Gold only gaining $18, up about 0.5%. So this means the gold silver ratio is dropping. We are now down to 87. Now I still favor buying silver over gold with this ratio, but with it going lower, gold is looking even more appealing. Speaking of gold's appeal, here is the Truth Social post that Trump put out on August 11th, and you can see right here he says, "Gold will not be tariffed." Now, he does not mention silver, and there still is no executive order exempting gold from the tariffs. But either way, this is good news for gold. We do not want any tariffs on precious metals, so I'm really happy that Trump put this statement out. Moving back over to silver, why is silver price going up today? Well, there's actually a few factors. The first is that the markets are still digesting the inflation data, which was released yesterday, Tuesday, August 12th. So the CPI numbers for July actually came in at 2.7%. Now, they were forecast to come in at 2.8%, so they beat expectations, and this is essentially giving the Fed the green light to lower rates at the next meeting. And to my surprise, when I looked at the CME Group's FedWatch tool, I saw that there was essentially a 100% chance that rates are going to go down by 25 basis points at the upcoming meeting on September 17th. Now, they are saying there is a 0.1% chance that rates will go down by 50 basis points. So they're saying, yes, there is going to be a rate cut. We just don't know how big it's going to be yet, but they're obviously leaning towards the smaller sizing. Now, as we all know, Trump not only wants rates to go down, but he wants them to go down quickly. And here we have Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent urging the Fed to weigh a 50 basis point rate cut in September. And if the Fed does cut by 50 basis points, this will be massive for precious metals. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the Federal Reserve should keep the door open to a larger 50 basis point rate cut next month after opting to hold rates steady at its last meeting. Bessent told Fox Business on Tuesday that the real thing now is to think about whether we should get a 50 basis point rate cut in September. So obviously rates are likely to come down, but that 50 basis point rate cut, that could really be explosive for silver especially. I will definitely keep an eye on these target rate probabilities, and should they start to shift more heavily in favor of that larger rate cut, I would expect to see silver starting to price that in, and we could see $40 silver in the coming weeks. Now, this Fed meeting is still over a month away, but that being the case, we have some time now to kind of take a step back and see where this goes. Because of all this news, the dollar has taken a big hit. This is actually a 3-week low for the strength of the dollar. It went down over 1/3% today. So I'll keep an eye on this as well. And with the dollar moving lower, it just makes sense that gold and silver are moving higher today. Usually they will do the opposite of whatever the dollar is doing. So this is in line with what we would expect. Now, where is gold headed? One article came out today saying that gold price could double in 5 to 10 years as investors investors become skeptical of fiat currencies. Now, this guy, Thorsten, he is the publisher of the Boom and Bust report. He's also an honorary professor of economics. He said that gold and silver are on the cusp of important structural breakouts because of the unfettered growth of the paper money system. There is a desperate attempt to secure safe haven assets, he said. People are becoming more skeptical of the purchasing power of all fiat currencies, and we can see this in the global gold market. Not only is gold holding solid gains above 3,300 an ounce, but it is trading at record highs against the Japanese yen and near record highs against the British pound, euro, Canadian dollar, and Swiss franc, to name just a few major currencies. Global debt is rising everywhere, and this is driving inflation. It's not just in the US government. Debt is rising in Canada, it is rising in the UK, and it is rising in Europe, he said. Also, in this environment, it is impossible for central banks to raise interest rates, as doing so would increase the servicing costs of all this debt, which in turn would dampen economic growth. Yes, the US Central Bank, or the Fed, is not going to be raising rates. They're probably going to be lowering rates, and I expect that trend will continue. And he agrees this is just the start. He expects that central banks will not only have to cut rates this year, but he also anticipates a return of financial repression and potentially yield curve controls. Financial repression is an indirect way for governments to use private industry dollars to pay down public debts. A government uses subtle tools like zero interest rates and inflationary policies to reduce its own debts, and we know that the US desperately needs to reduce their debts, with the national debt continuing to grow and that $9 trillion which is going to be maturing in the near future. You can see here over at usdebtclock.org, the US national debt is over $37 trillion, and if we fast forward in time to 2009, they're predicting it's actually going to go up to over $47 trillion, so about $10 trillion gained over the next 4 years. The bond market is bracing for an extraordinary supply challenge. Treasury records show that $9.2 trillion in marketable debt, about 1/3 of the entire Treasury market and nearly 1/3 of GDP, matures in 2025. So it's going to need to be refinanced. So it's no surprise that Trump wants rates to go down so they can refinance this debt at a lower rate. It's just like when rates go down and you can refinance your house and pay less every single month, the government wants to do that as well. I mean, think about making payments on a $37 trillion loan. With rates going down even just 0.25%, they're going to be paying so much less every single month. So it's obvious that Trump wants rates to go down, and it's looking like they're finally going to go down at the next meeting. Now, why is the HSBC, or the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corp, raising their silver price forecast for 2025? They're actually raising it for the next 3 years, citing strong support from high gold prices and safe haven demand due to plenty of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. They also said that a weaker dollar this year is a positive for silver, while ongoing debates over Federal Reserve rate cuts and central bank policies could impact prices going forward, and it's looking like those will be a positive for silver as well, based on the news that came out today. Now, Investing Haven actually put out their own silver price predictions going all the way till 2030. So for this year, they're saying silver will actually go to $49 an ounce. Next year, silver goes to $50, so it just consolidates. 2027, silver moves closer to $77 an ounce, and 2030, silver peaks at $82 an ounce. Wow, that is a big move from where silver is right now, but I suppose it is possible. But if we go back to the silver price chart, you could see we're actually up about $10 on the year. So silver is on a tear. We are only about 60 cents away from a 14-year high for silver price. So it is performing very well. And again, with the Fed looking to lower rates, I think silver does have a bright future ahead of itself. But what do you think? Let me know down below in the comment section. Where do you see silver and gold going from here? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next one. Silver Dragons out.